Hi everybody, Laura here. So glad you're joining me, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be playing with this beautiful, it's called Sketch Ranunculus stamp set. Some really pretty floral images on it, and I'm going to emboss them. I have a piece of Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock. Every time I say that, I just want to go watercolor cardstock. I don't know what it is about it, but okay, so I rubbed it down with my magic powder bag, and then I stamped the biggest ranuncula. Would it be ranunculi? I don't know. Anyway, so I pour on some clear embossing powder, hit it with my heat gun. Now what I'm doing is just taking some random ink. The color really does not matter. I'm creating a mask. I have that full sticky Post-it note, and you would not believe how often I use these full sticky Post-its. They're just the perfect little size for creating quick and easy little masks for your image. The reason I'm masking is because I want to stamp the smaller ranunculus. And it's bothering me. I don't know if when you're speaking of one flower, is it called ranunculus or is it called ranunculi? That's going to bother me. I should probably stop and Google it. Okay, people, I just stopped the video and I Googled it. Now, I searched about 5-6 different places because it is a little vague. And from what I understand, ranunculus can be singular or plural. You can also say ranunculuses. You can say ranunculi, but that's more of a plural term. That's my understanding. So we're just going to go with ranunculus, you know, potato, potato. Just let it just fly. Just go by the seat of your pants. We're going to live on the edge. So I'm going to start calling I think I should start calling my videos Laura's Card Making and Random Trivia Info that you never knew you needed to know, like tittles, like punchinella, like ranunculus. All these kind of things that you never knew you needed to know. So if you ever play a game of trivia, you could say, hey, I learned that from Laura Fedora's card making video. So while I was babbling on, I went ahead and embossed my whole panel of watercolor cards, so watercolor cardstock with clear embossing. I kind of grouped my ranunculuses together and embossed them all in white. That's what, therefore, I did the masking. And so now I'm using my ziggies to color them in, and I am hot on these ziggies. For a long time, I was very intimidated, but I tell you, if you just dive in head first, you'll fall in love with them. So the colors I'm using are light pink. Start with light pink, then I add a little pink, and then a little bit of yellow. And for the leaves, I do pale green and what color is this? Light green. Yes, so I start light, add some dark, and if you let it dry just a smidge and you go in with that dark, you can get a really nice contrast. It's kind of like what I try to do with Copics, but I'm doing it with the zigs, and I think it really turns out. I kind of like the effortless look of it, and you can really get the loose look of a watercolor, but you have the nice control of a marker tip, which is fun. So now what I'm doing is taking the Cobalt Zig Clean Color Marker. I scribbled a little bit on my acrylic block, and then I squeezed my water brush to kind of make a puddle and dilute that cobalt blue. I went a very, very subtle blue wash, just kind of going around my images, nothing too serious. So now I'm making another little puddle. Took out my Gonzai Tombi watercolor paints, and I'm going to do a little white and black flicking of specks on top. So I'm just dipping in, trying to make this opaque white as I can. I don't need very much of it at all. Use very little water, mostly all white paint. And then what you do is you just take, I'm using the smallest little Ranger brush. I have the set of 6, I believe. This is the smallest one, and you just tap it on your finger. You get a lot of ink on there, and then you tap. Boom, 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 and that's all there is to it. Just adds a little something, something. You know what, I see this and I fell in love with it. Well, a lot of people do it, to be honest. But Yansoon, am I saying her name correctly? You probably know who I'm talking about. She does this flicking, and I just love it. So now I'm doing some black. Now, this always makes me nervous as all get out, because once you start flicking black, there's no going back. You know what I mean? Like, and it's nerve-wracking, you know, because you could potentially wreck it. But I see these scrapbookers do this, and I love it to death. So I'm timidly tapping my finger with the black. I'm not as confident with the black as I am with the white. You can also take your fingertip and just kind of go like that on there, and it gives you these very, very, very subtle little sprays. It's almost like you did it with the toothbrush, you know what I mean? And you can, I don't know if you can see, but very, very subtle. Nothing too wild and crazy, just a little something, something. Okay, so now we're moving on. I'm die cutting the Painted Kindness word die onto some watercolor cardstock. I'm going to paint this one as well with my zigs. I've been talking about my card the whole video, and I usually like to talk about my personal life. I don't really like talking about the cards so much all the time, but school just got out. Yesterday was the last day, and I'll tell you, we've had a heat wave here in Illinois, and it is like 85 up in our bedroom. So it's just like we're not ready to turn on the air in May. But we are, by the way, I went ahead and die cut about 4 more of those Kindness with just Nina Solar White. I'm using my spray adhesive to adhere those quickly all together. I love that spray adhesive. I got to tell you, the other day pulled out my spray adhesive, and it was empty. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I actually went through a whole can of it. It's the first time I've gone through a whole can of spray adhesive. So I went and got a new one. I was all excited. I love getting new supplies. The spray the nozzle was nice and clean and new. My other one was all gunked up. And don't you love getting new supplies like new white cardstock? A big new Mama roll of foam tape. It's like nothing better. I was one of those kids who absolutely loved getting school supplies because the crayons are all new, nice and sharp, and all that. Okay, so now moving on. I'm die cutting a big oval opening using one of the stitched oval dies. Yes, I die cut that right into my ranunculus background, but I wanted to make a nice big window frame opening for my Kindness word die. I want to kind of draw the eye into it, make it like the focal of the card. So I popped that panel onto a card base. Now I'm adhering my Kindness. Now here's how I do the tittle. I've shown this before. I took that Kindness where I die cut that into a bunch of cardstock, and that gives me the perfect placement for my tittle. We've talked about the tittle before, haven't we? I think I have to mention it every time because every word has an I, and so therefore you have a tittle. And so I'm just adhering that correctly, perfectly positioned. Now, this stamp set here is called Many Thanks, and it's got this thank you for the, and then there's a line, blank gift. And I trimmed it off so it's only thank you for the. And I place that where I want it using my mini Misty so I get perfect placement. Wiping off any, you ever do that? You got to make sure you wipe off any excess ink on that Misty. Yes, I learned that the hard way. So I've always got my stamp cleaner ready to go there, making sure that the Misty is completely clean. And there, look, thank you for the Kindness. And then just to finish it off, a few sparkling clear sequins like I always do. And this card's pretty much finished. So there you go. Ranunculus, ranunculuses, ranunculi, what have you, potato, potato. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.